So today I'm kind of patting myself on the back. I'm happy to say that the video I posted a couple of weeks ago on my self-watering grow beds has turned out to be the first one on this channel to break 1,000 views. Now I know to more seasoned creators that's pretty measly, but to a small creator such as me, more accustomed to two-digit numbers so far, breaking 1,000 was pretty awesome. And more surprising still, I actually thought it was a kind of a shoddy video using random bits and pieces that I'd shot on my phone 6 years ago, but apparently people thought it was interesting and useful, and YouTube thought it would be helpful to people, so cool. As I said in that video, it is the first of a new playlist I'm calling the Yard-stead, which is going to be an ongoing overview of some of the steps I'm taking to grow less lawn and more food. Since it seems that that is a topic and a space that people are interested in, I'm going to keep going with it. So today's video is going to be a little bit more catch-up with things that I've already done over the past few years. Back in 2020, I tore out some rotting old grow beds that were in our yard when we bought the house and replaced them with a greenhouse and a little microforest, which is still very much in progress. So today's video is again going to be cut together from pieces that I shot a few years ago before I had even decided to do this channel. So originally, this was intended to be more like something just for friends and family. But it would seem that you are now my friend, and thanks for watching, by the way. Don't forget to like and subscribe and comment. But now, we'll be caught up, and moving forward, we'll be looking at where things are now, which honestly is not really all that different from where this video leaves off. You know, life and stuff like that. But this is going to take us from transforming a little piece of the yard, just a couple of rotting old grow beds, to a greenhouse and the beginnings of the first stage of a micro food forest. Let's take a look. Welcome to the Yard-stead. This video clip was shot in the spring of 2020. We'd bought this property in August of 2015. It's just a kind of an average ranch in northwest Longmont. And while I'd done a few sort of backyard sustainability projects like these self-watering grow beds, I felt like this corner of the property was kind of an eyesore. But it was an eyesore with amazing potential. We get great sunlight here, and the space could really be optimized. There were these two grow beds that were laid out diagonally, so not using the space very efficiently. You can't see it in this shot because I just finished clearing it out, but they were so completely overrun with humongous 4 and 5 foot tall thistles and all kinds of other weeds. The neighborhood cats and raccoons and squirrels had been using it as their toilet, and the wood frames were just decomposing in place. So I started daydreaming and imagining possibilities, writing ideas down, making sketches, watching inspirational videos on permaculture, and just brainstorming. The first thing I thought is that I'd like a little greenhouse, and this one corner would be perfect. And then as I started daydreaming about what to do with the rest of the space, I realized that every idea I had started with the same step one: take out the grow beds. After that, I decided I was going to either put in new grow beds based on hugelkultur, or maybe simple square foot grow beds, or get really ambitious and make a large sub-irrigated growing system, like a much bigger version of my current grow beds. But what I finally landed on was that I want to transform this area into a tiny little micro food forest. If you don't know what that is, the short answer is that it's a tiny replica of mature old-growth forest climax ecosystem. And since it's mimicking a climax ecosystem, it requires very little work and provides some nice benefits to the earth. There's a lot more to learn about that. And we'll go more in depth as I make more videos. To be honest, we're going to be learning together. When I make these types of videos, I try to not hide my mistakes or pretend to be smarter than I really am, because I'm not interested in impressing you. My goal is to give you a real-world example, including all the things that might go wrong. So wish me luck, and let's get going. I shot the first 2 steps in time-lapse because disassembling the grow beds isn't the least bit interesting or educational. And as for the greenhouse, my approach was really just kind of shooting from the hip, making it up as I went along, and it would be pretty much useless as a how-to. it ended up actually turning out pretty well. I mean, it's solid, which is surprising considering that it was the first freestanding structure I ever built. Well, anyways, you can see here I've got this first grow bed taken apart, and the other grow bed, it's just, lather, rinse, repeat. So let's move on. So obviously the first thing I had to do was clear out the vegetation. But then I started laying my frame. I just happened to have this nice sturdy timber lying around, and I wanted this to be solid, so I backfilled it with pea gravel. I happened to have some river rock to use as a sort of foundation under that timber, and that was my basic starting point. And then when I squared everything up, I said, oh, yep, I can't do anything until I take out the grow bed. And this is about as interesting as watching somebody shovel dirt. But anyway, it goes pretty quickly. Thank you, time-lapse, for making this less painful than it would have been. Hey, nice picture, by the way, of my camera sitting on its tripod. That's Photography 101. Anyway, yeah, I've never built anything with foundation before. I think I got it right, though. I started with a bed of pea gravel and the river rock, as I said before. And I happen to have these pavers lying around. So I got things nice and level and square and straight. And I built what I think is a more or less competent foundation. Everything's nice and square. Used my 8th grade math. Thank you, Mr. Anderson, for teaching me all the math I needed to get this thing pretty square. And once again, thanks to the miracle of time-lapse, we won't have to watch this too long. There I am getting my foundation put together. Yeah, like watching paint dry. But it ended up pretty darn square. I'm happy with it. As you can see, I put a little sister joint on the bottom there to make the thing a little bit more stable. I don't know if you can see that or not. But got everything nice and evened out, and then I started building the frame. I like to build frame pieces on the ground, whether I'm doing something, interior type of renovation, or in this case, my first freestanding structure. It just, to me, seems a lot easier to build everything on the ground and treat it as a kind of a modular project. So the next thing I did was to put the plastic sheets on these walls, which you'll see in just a moment. There they are. By the way, if you ever do a greenhouse, don't get the UV filtering stuff because plants actually like UV rays, and it's a little less expensive. So don't buy the expensive UV filtering stuff. Your plants will thank you, and your pocketbook will thank you. So as soon as I got these guys attached, and I'll put some insulation in here in a second, which is, once again, a little boring. Oh, and you can see my self-watering grow beds in the background there. I've mentioned them a couple times. I'm really proud of those. Anyway, so there my wife is helping me hold this up while I get the walls attached. And I try to do it as much as I can by myself, but thank God she's around when I need that third hand. And now I'm going to start putting the other wall together so that I can do the very not fun job of putting the roof together. By the way, just in case you're unsure, this is time-lapse. I don't move that quickly. Ask anybody who knows me. Anyway, so yeah, and I'm going to, next day, putting the rafters up. And this way, I was kind of just winging it. Definitely was not the touch of a professional, but I think I got it pretty well put together. And like I said, it's about a year and a half later. It's really solid. We've had some terrible windstorms, and the thing is really sturdy. But then I decided I owed myself a little aesthetic touch. I kept looking at these grow beds and saying, that shape reminds me of something. So let's see if you can figure out what I'm painting here. Get some blue. Let's see how long it takes to figure out what I'm painting. And I am a native of my wonderful home state, and I have blood that goes back 4 generations here. So I'm actually really fond of that flag. I really, really love it. I think it adds some nice color to the art and the project. And so the greenhouse is built. We've got a little bit of beautification done, and now we can fast forward to the next step. Okay, so fast forward to June of 2021, and some things have changed. The greenhouse is looking great. It's been growing me some wonderful food. But I've got a new arrival today. I have a Honeycrisp apple tree. that I've put in. And I've done a lot of work. And also, yes, don't forget the service berry bush. Lovely. I've been putting down a lot of sheet mulch here, putting down cardboard and then laying wood chips on top of it, which are free at the Waste Diversion Center. To give a little closer look, you can see that I've just got wood chips on top of cardboard. There are advantages and disadvantages to this system. It does break down. I've done it in a few other spots in the yard, and months, sometimes a year later, that stuff it turns into soil, really, really good soil. Over here on this honeyberry, I did that whole thing last year. I had to do it twice. It's great for weed suppression, but then it's such fertile soil after it breaks down that the weeds come back with a vengeance. So you do have to keep redoing it, but it's far superior to like weed barrier, which some people say weed barrier itself is a weed. It's nasty stuff. But I'll tell you one thing that's not nasty. It's my greenhouse. It's looking real good. We haven't looked in there, obviously. As I said, I haven't updated anything for a while. So let's walk around the corner and see how it's doing. Last year, it was really successful. I had so many tomatoes coming out of this thing. I couldn't keep up. This year, I've got tomatoes going again. I've got some pea plants. I wasn't sure how peas were going to do since they're a cold weather plant. And the greenhouse is obviously very hot. Oh, my Napa's looking really good. Oregano's looking good. And the purslane. Actually, I eat purslane, so I'm fine with that. The strawberries are looking healthy. And there's the peas they're producing. And it's kind of an experiment. But I've companion planted some kale and carrots. And there they are. They're looking great. The kale has been outrageous. I've been eating a lot of kale out of here already. So generally, I just have to say this greenhouse is working out really, really nicely. Okay, so the ruler says about 71 inches. But the ruler isn't quite up to the top. So there's the top. So is that about 5-6 inches? So we'll say 77 inches. 77 inches tall. That's what we have here. We have a 77-inch tall Honeycrisp apple tree. Okay, that's it. Right now it's early March 2024. Not a whole lot is growing aside from a few micro seedlings in the grow beds, but I'm happy to report the greenhouse is still standing strong. We've had some crazy wind over the last few years, and it's held up like a champ. So in a few weeks, we'll go out there and get an update. But for now, it's time to wrap up this video. Thanks so much for watching. Hope to see you next time. Ciao.